squabbled millions, turning to the radio and the motion picture in an attempt to find an escape from their day-to-day problems, have been delighted instead to discover a sympathetic friend, eager and able to help them solve their difficulties. They have written him the intimate details of the human entanglements into which they were thrown, and one of these is now presented in dramatic form. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice of experience.
Greetings, my friends. All of you, sometime or other in your lives, have personally seen or participated in a family quarrel. The reasons for these squabbles, which often lead to serious results, are pictured in many of the letters I receive. For example...
Hello? Oh, yes. Yes, I know we're overdue, Mr. Allen. I was talking to my husband about it only last night. He said he'd send your check this week. I know. No, we like the apartment very much. Yes. Yes, I'll talk to him about it again tonight.
I'm sorry, dear, but you have to forget about that maid now.
Well, I won't mind that if everything else is taken care of.
Well, we'll have to squeeze a bit. We shouldn't have bought that bedroom set.
Well, you were the one who was always complaining about the old one.
Well, maybe I did, but that's no reason why we should go out and buy the most expensive furniture we could find.
But you made the final decision yourself.
Yes, but you selected two and asked me to choose between them. They were both expensive.
Oh, stop making such a fuss about money. You're always talking about it, and you never give me enough to pay the bills. I've been dodging creditors all day today. Frank doesn't make any more than you do, and he isn't squabbling with Flo all the time.
I don't know what he makes. I just know what I can afford. You're driving me crazy trying to keep up with these fly-by-night friends of yours.
You've no right to talk that way about my friends. A man doesn't have to be a tightwad just to be a good businessman.
Calling me a tightwad, eh? You who've been digging money out of me ever since the day I married you.
Ever since you married. I wish I'd never met you. With all the chances I had to pick a miser like you.
A miser, eh? Well, that's enough. I'm sick of hearing about the chances you had. You should have taken one and lived like the countess you seem to think you are. I'm just a working man. Whatever I spend, I earn. I can't stand this nagging anymore. It's a strain at the office and it's a strain here at the house. I tell you, I can't stand it.
Darling, why did you do it? I didn't mean what I said. Didn't you know I didn't mean it?
Fortunately, the young husband recovered from his self-inflicted wounds. But the domestic difficulties continued, and the wife wrote me asking for a solution. I pointed out that they both had been guilty of lack of consideration. The only way they could achieve peace was to establish their relationship on a better economic basis. For instance, their discussion might have run like this.
I'm sorry, dear, but you have to forget about that maid now.
I won't mind that if everything else is taken care of.
Well, we'll have to squeeze.
I know we will, darling. Look, I have an idea. Let's make up a budget. Instead of you paying all the bills, you give me a definite amount of money each week to keep house on. I'll see that we stay within it.
Hey, that's a swell idea. Then I won't always have to be worrying about the end of the month.
This type of frank and peaceful discussion was later tried and proved to be successful. Another story of a bitter fight was related to me by a woman married to one of two brothers.
Look at my beautiful palace. This is the part where the king sleeps.
Sonny, don't you know better than to hit girl? And your own cousin, too. That's a fine way for a gentleman to act. You'll tend to your own kid, Mac. Don't touch that boy. We don't believe in whipping the child. That's not the way we bring him up. Seems to have been dragged up, not brought up. Maybe a little whipping around here would help. Might do somebody some good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Maybe we can learn how. It's that important. Why, you, who do you think you're trying? Don't let me at it.
As I explained in my broadcast, this fight was the result of two adults not having any more control of their tempers than their children. Both men were at fault, even though each had an element of justice in his favor. The incident might have been glossed over in this manner.
my beautiful palace. This is the spot where the king sleeps.
All right, Mac, I'll take care of him. Get up, honey. Now apologize to Sue.
I won't. She knocked my palace down.
Did you hear what I said? Ask her to excuse you. She's your guest, and it's bad manners to fight with her.
Even if she knocked my palace down?
Yes, even if she knocked your palace down.
Then I apologize. Excuse me, Sue. I'm sorry I walloped you.
We don't believe in hitting the boy. You can do much more with him this way. Yes, I guess you're right, Joe.
Under such circumstances, the application of the modern theory of child psychology was successful. For after all, children learn from example quicker than in any other way. Finally, there is another type of domestic quarrel that very often finishes in the divorce courts. It is described in a letter that begins, "Dear voice of experience, when my father died a little over a year ago, my wife was the first to suggest that mother come and live with us. Wife felt that the least we could do was to provide a pleasant home for my lonely mother."
Why are you moving those things, Mother?
That looks much better there, don't you think?
Well, as a matter of fact, I don't.
There, dear, I know much more about those things than you do. After all, I kept house for 30 years. I didn't care very much for those friends of yours, children. That young woman is the slightest creature I ever set my eyes upon.
That girl has been my friend since school.
Well, she seemed very lightheaded to me. Years ago, a young wife felt she had certain responsibilities. A young woman's job was her home.
I'm very sorry if you don't like the way this home is run.
No, sweetheart, Mother didn't mean anything like that.
Well, I'm just telling you what I can see with my own eyes. The younger generation doesn't seem to have any sense of responsibility.
Well, there's not much chance of using any around here. I haven't had my way about a single thing since you came to live here.
Why, all I've been trying to do is to give you the benefit of my experience.
I'm sure Mother hasn't meant to butt into your affairs.
I don't know what she's meant to do, but I'm sick of it. First, it was my cooking, then my taste. Next, my behavior, and now my friends. Well, I'm getting out of here before she begins to choose my clothes for me.
Well, that's fine appreciation for all my efforts. From now on, I shan't open my mouth.
From now on, I won't be here to care if you do.
In analyzing this young man's problem over the air, I pointed out that he was as much to blame as anyone for his troubles. He should have recognized the fact that his mother had led an active life for so many years and could not suddenly get used to a life of idleness. On the other hand, his wife was certainly entitled to run her own home without interference. Now, things might have been patched up in this way.
A young woman's job was her home.
I'm very sorry if you don't like the way this home is run.
Oh, come now. Are you two at it again? Tell me, Mother, what do you like to do besides taking care of a house and looking after people?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing very much.
You must have some hobby. Something that you do to pass the time.
Well, there's my knitting. I'm very fond of that.
Exactly. I thought so. And so I spoke to several of the women down at the club. They're very anxious to get a knitting class started, but they've needed a real expert to teach them. I suggested that you might like to do it. They were delighted and asked me to arrange it for them. What do you think of the idea?
Well, I'd like it very much if I could do it. Do you think I could spare the time?
I'm sure you could. I'll call them tomorrow and arrange a date.